Everybody, this is Dream, and today we have the NASCAR Cup Series YELLAWOOD 500. This particular race is at Talladega, so this is obviously a super speedway race. So I have a few options at the bottom of the track. They're going to be what I call Hail Mary options. But before I get to those guys, we're going to go through the main guys. If you don't mind liking, commenting, and subscribing, that would really be awesome. I really do appreciate it when you guys do that. And with that said, I also want to shout out all the Patreon members. Really appreciate you guys. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below in the comments. Especially if I left out a driver you think I shouldn't have. So my top 3 drivers for this race, when it comes to who I think could potentially win the race, is Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, and let's see here, where is he? Bubba Wallace. I think those are the top 3 options on this particular track. All 3 of them have had really good races here in the past. So with that said, let's go and get into the racers themselves. So my first guy I'm going to take a look at here is Denny Hamlin. He's obviously pretty expensive, but he's the most expensive option on this track that I think is in a good spot here. Obviously, he's a little bit capped due to starting position, but he does have potential to win this race. He hasn't wrecked too much here, but he tends to be pretty good here. So I do like him in this race. Then we're going to look at Ryan Blaney. Now Ryan Blaney doesn't wreck here very much, and his starting position gives him a lot of good upside, starting 19th. Obviously, on DraftKings, you get a nice bonus for moving up, and so he's definitely one of my top plays. Chase Elliott is in a similar position, starting 16th. He has some upside due to that. But he hasn't ever been particularly great here. He hasn't had a ton of great finishes. He's had a couple, but he's been kind of hit and miss over his career. Kyle Busch is another guy that's starting way back, 26th position. This gives him a ton of upside here, though he has been pretty inconsistent at this track, and he's had some issues wrecking and stuff here in the past, but overall it's still a potentially good race for him, especially with his starting position. I do suspect that there's going to be some crashes in this race, so and a bunch of cars are going to get damaged, so we do have to be worried about that. Bubba Wallace starts 27th, and he's in Kurt Busch's car, and even in his own car, he was proving able to win this particular race. He won it last year, and he has the potential to do that again here. In this car, he can definitely win, and in every race that he's raced at this track, when he's been with 23XL, he's actually been a top 20 car. So even starting 27th, even if he just finishes 20th, you're going to get some extra points. Well, obviously, we want him to score more than that, but he's been really consistent here. Ross Chastain, obviously starting in 6th place. He does have a winning caliber car, and in 7 races here, he's never wrecked out, so he's had some good finishes. I really like him in this race. His starting position does cap him a little bit, but you kind of have to look for guys that are going to be consistent here. So Kevin Harvick's another guy I really like. He's starting 24th. His starting position here helps him a lot. The last time at Talladega, he actually started 24th as well, and he finished 10th. And he really doesn't wreck here very much, doesn't get into many accidents here. Now, he's had some bad luck lately, so hopefully he can get back on track, but overall, he's a really good option on this race. Brad Keselowski, he's starting 18th. He's in a great starting position for him. He's never started this bad since 2012, and this gives him a bit of upside because of this particular, because of the starting position, so I really do like him here. Then Austin Dillon, he's probably been one of the better drivers at this track in his career. He's also finished starting 20th, and 7 of the last 8 races, he's finished in the top 20 with 1 wreck. He has a lot of upside in this particular race. Cole Custer for Stewart-Haas has actually been pretty solid here in his career since he joined Stewart-Haas at least, and he's starting 28th, which gives him a lot of upside here. In the 3 races out of the last 5 that he actually didn't wreck in, he got 13th, 10th, and 22nd place, so he definitely has some upside in this particular race. Michael McDowell is a guy I think is almost a surefire lock on this particular track. He's starting 29th, which is one of his worst starting positions here, and he has a top 10 car, very similar to Bubba Wallace when it comes to his upside. And they're starting right around each other, too. Justin Haley is in a good spot here as a starting position of 21st, and he has a top 10 car. And so he's been pretty good at this track in the past, and with this car, he's going to have some really good upside. Now, this is a wild card option, Noah Gragson. He's actually going to be in a Hendrick car this week for the first time, so he's going to have a really good car, and let's see if we can actually pull it off. He's actually been really good here in the Xfinity for the most part, and so I really like him in this particular chance to have a really good race here. He had a top 20 finish the first race he raced here in Cup, and that was with a subpar car. Obviously, his starting position does cap him a little bit. And then we're going to look at Corey LaJoie, who's starting 32nd. Now, he's a Hail Mary option, but he has a top 15 car. He actually does finish here pretty good, better than some of the other Hail Mary options, so I do think he's the top tier Hail Mary option. As for, I have 4 other Hail Mary options. If you think that this race, and there's a potential for this, is going to be a wreck fest where half the field gets wrecked, then these are the guys you could potentially throw in your lineup to steal a nice differential position. So Landon Castle is the first guy here. Now he's starting 33rd, and he's got a pretty decent car. Ty Dillon, he's actually been pretty solid here in the past. He's starting 30th. Todd Gilliland is starting 38th, and then Cody Ware is starting 37th. Obviously, Cody, in the order that I listed them there, Castle, Dillon, Gilliland, and Ware is the order I would potentially choose to use these guys. Obviously, they're extremely Hail Mary options, but, you know, at Daytona and at Talladega, typically there's a lot of wrecks, and potentially you could have guys, if they just hang around at the back, and these guys tend to do that, then they have potential to move up quite a bit at the finish aspect of the race. So, with that said, I think we have a really solid race here. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you have any comments or questions about any of the drivers, or if you feel like I've left anybody off, feel free to leave the comments below, and have a nice day, guys.